You know, because we have reduced disease to a common denominator, it is necessary for you to bring the diagnostic sheet of the physician. Although we work with them and they're good. I'm not going to deny the doctor his position in the sun.
Yes.
He's good. He responds to emergencies where we cannot. It is good to bring it, but just tell us what the doctor said you have and we proceed from there.
Okay.
Because we know already that the body is ridden with inflammation. Inflammation is the cause of all disease. Without the body having inflammation, there would be no disease.
The mucous membrane has been compromised. Every time we eat the food that God did not make, you will find yourself in trouble. Men like women. Anger, stress. So what I did, I perfected the compounds to remove the one disease that manifests in a million different ways. If the mucus is broken in the head, it's insanity, it's paranoia, it's schizophrenia. But if the mucous membrane has been compromised in the bronchial tubes, it's bronchitis. If the mucus is in the nasal passage, it's sinusitis. So it goes. Removing the mucus, you remove all disease. It is as simple as that. Dr. Sebi is not a scientist. He's not a doctor. He's a plumber.
The cause of mucus is the cause of all disease. This was the question posed to me in court. That why were we making these claims and why were we so successful and what was going on? Is that disease was never identified to us. If it was identified, then the question would not be asked now, and then we all of us that are sick would be enjoying health. Well, disease is the accumulation of mucus, breaking down the mucous membrane, and that mucus covering groups of cells in your body. Like, for instance, we have the mucous membrane in the body to protect us from the onslaught of aerobic bacteria, as they are called. But this mucous membrane is for protection. But now we eat acid foods, and the acid food breaks down the mucous membrane and does cause it to flow with the blood, covering other groups of cells now, groups of cells that belongs to organs, depriving them of oxygen. If the mucus goes to your nostrils, they call it sinusitis. If the mucus goes to your bronchial tubes, it's bronchitis. If the mucus goes to the lungs, it's pneumonia. They didn't make any claims. They didn't do anything. So naturally, if one out of a flock of people that has not shown anything or stood up for their own rights, if they had accomplished something, well, he just part of the pack. And I was not in disagreement with the Attorney General because he did his job. But it was his mistake by assuming that I was part of the pack. I am not part of any pack. Never has been, never could be.
Since we have heard the relationship between food and disease, could you then tell us what is disease?
Sure. That should have been the question to ask when we first went to see the physician or the healer. What is disease? We want to know what is disease, because if we do not know the causes of disease, then it would be impossible for us to zero in on a meaningful cure or any cure at all. What is disease? The doctors never told us, but we kept going back to him. Now the question is asked to the Usha Institute. The question should have been answered by the anthropologists and the archaeologists. Why wait for the healer to come? Because if we are diseased, and we are unaware as to the cause of our disease, then whatever comes after that means absolutely nothing because our bodies are sick. Disease is when you have ingested a substance that was uncomplimentary with your genetical structure. As for the black man, his is mucus. Disease is the cause of, mucus is the cause of all disease. This was the question posed to me in court, that why were we making these claims and why were we so successful and what was going on? Is that disease was never identified to us. If it was identified, then the question would not be asked now, and then we all of us that are sick would be enjoying health. Well, disease is the accumulation of mucus, breaking down the mucous membrane, and that mucus covering groups of cells in your body. Like, for instance, we have the mucous membrane in the body to protect us from the onslaught of aerobic bacteria, as they are called. But this mucous membrane is for protection. But now we eat acid foods, and the acid food breaks down the mucous membrane and does cause it to flow with the blood, covering other groups of cells now, groups of cells that belongs to organs, depriving them of oxygen. If the mucus goes to your nostrils, they call it sinusitis. If the mucus goes to your bronchial tubes, it's bronchitis. If the mucus goes to the lungs, it's pneumonia. So we have 3 different diseases caused by what? Mucus. So what about when the mucus goes to the prostate glands? It's prostatitis. What about when the mucus goes to the uterus of the woman? That's endometriosis or vaginal discharge or yeast infection. So we have this mucus situation now that is caused by an inadequate diet. Mucus is the underlying cause for all disease. And this is where we specialize at the OSHA Research Institute in making those compounds to aid the body to remove the mucus from itself.
So at the OSHA Research, first we want to know what was disease. What is disease? Because it seemed to be misinterpreted. Everyone is talking about departmentalizing or individualizing disease. When you have diabetes, it's different from having leukemia. When you have sickle cell anemia, most sin is not like leukemia, they're different. When they are not, they've never been different. They're coming from the same source. The mucous membrane of our biological structure has been compromised, meaning that the mucous membrane has been broken. And wherever that break has taken place, would determine the disease that you would manifest. Like, for instance, like we always say, if the mucous membrane has been compromised in the nasal passage, it is what? Sinusitis. In the bronchial tubes, bronchitis. On the lungs, pneumonia. In the pancreas, diabetes. On the brain, schizophrenia, paranoia, or Parkinson's disease, insomnia, depending where the mucus is located. So we took the position, and we maintained that position, that there is only one disease manifesting in 1,000 different ways, the compromising of the mucous membrane. So that led Ma'a and I to think about not only addressing to one part of the body, but to address the total body, because the body is all interconnected and interrelated. We can't treat one side without the other. So we say, just go for it. An intracellular cleansing. Self-explanatory. Cleaning every cell that makes up every organ and system that totals the biological you. Meaning cleaning all of you. Not only your colon, like many have decided to do, to concentrate on the colon. No. We concentrate on the whole human body. Cleansing the human body is only but one part of the whole journey. The other is bringing back the energy that was lost by the presence of disease. That energy is supported by minerals, live minerals, phosphate of iron, phosphate of calcium, and phosphate of everything that we're going to use would have to be phosphate. Why? Because they, and they alone, are electrical. So as we recommend the intracellular cleansing, we know that the person in question, patient or client, has suffered the loss of energy by the presence of such disease. So, apart from part one, which is the cleansing, now we have to revitalize the system because it has been weakened. We can't select comfrey and golden seal, aloe vera, peppermint, echinacea. No. We have to go to calawala. We have to go to contrivo. We have to go to cordoncillo negro. And we have to go to the one that I favor most of all, the pavana. Now we are talking about electric herbs for an electric body. After we selected these plants, these electrical plants, we made these compounds. In administering these plants, these compounds, we see that immediately, in less than 24 hours, our patient is saying, I am already feeling the effect of these medicines or this food. Why? Because they are electrical. So, there is an intracellular cleansing and the revitalizing of the same.